Today on Sports Insiders The Spin, the Buckeyes invade Happy Valley for the game of the year in the Big Ten. Dabo and the Tigers back on track in Death Valley, and can Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs stay perfect? It's all next on The Spin. Hello, my friends. I'm Ali Melendez, and welcome to Sports Insiders The Spin, where the playoff pictures in both the NFL and college are coming into focus. Oh my goodness, listen. As we head into November, the first in the 12-team playoff era in college football, one thing is for sure, my friends, chaos is pretty good. I mean, there's excitement in Bloomington, Indiana, and I know the college basketball season does open this week, but that is not even the reason. No, the undefeated Hoosiers are in the playoff hunt, as are BYU, Texas A&M, the Clemson Tigers, who were left for dead early, and even Army. Now, wouldn't that be such a great story? So before we head into the first big weekend of November, I've got to send a quick shout out to our friends over at BetOnline. All of our odds here on The Spin are provided by BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform and #1 source for all things football. That, of course, includes odds on who will make the aforementioned 12-team college football playoff, all of this weekend's games, and plenty more. So definitely be sure to check them out. Once again, thank you, BetOnline. Love ya. Like I said, friends, big games with playoff storylines all over the place in college football this weekend, including that massive matchup in Happy Valley. I'm excited for that. And of course, who better to break it all down for us than our very own Drew Butler and Gabe Ikard. Drew, not for nothing, I've noticed you've been on an 8-1 heater over these past 3 weeks. How about a little love here in the studio, a little pizza party for the crew maybe? All right, we'll chat about it later. But for now, great job, keep killing it, and welcome, fellas.
What's up, Allie? Drew Butler here alongside my man, Gabe Ikard. And hey, I appreciate the shout out. That's right, Gabe. I'm 8-1 against the spread the last 3 weeks in college football. Allie said I need to send a pizza party or something up to them in the Northeast, her and the crew. I'll get that done for you, but we're turning the page to November. Winners win. We're on to the next week. It's week 10 of the college football season, and man, we've got some amazing games to break down for you right here on The Spin. Of course, all lines provided by BetOnline. Let's start in the Big Ten game. We have a top 5 matchup. This is going to be a great one. It's at noon Eastern on Fox. 4th-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes heading up to Happy Valley to take on the number 3 Penn State Nittany Lions. Right now, Ohio State, a 3.5-point road favorite. This total sits at 46 points.
James Franklin is 1-9 against Ohio State. 1-9. And when you look at this matchup, Ohio State is bringing one of their most talented teams ever. I know that it doesn't seem like they've put it all together quite yet, but they're bringing one of their most talented teams ever to Happy Valley for this game. Andrew Aller is banged up. We really don't know what his status is going to be for this football game. So you're 1-9 against Ohio State. Your starting quarterback's banged up, and the other team's extremely talented. Sounds like a recipe to be 1-10 against Ohio State to me. So I'm going to lay the points with Ohio State. I just don't think Penn State will be able to move the ball consistently and score points against Ohio State's defense. Ohio State has more weapons offensively, and that's no disrespect to Tyler Warren. That guy's a heck of a player for the Nittany Lions, but the big play capabilities of Ohio State just outweigh what Penn State has. I like Ohio State by double digits in this game. I'm laying the points with the Buckeyes. I think they make a statement.
Wow, I did not see you going that way, and you're totally right. The domination of the Buckeyes over the Nittany Lions. Ohio State has won 11 of the last 12 in this series, including 7 straight. However, Gabe, they're just 2-7 against the spread in the last 9. A little tip here, if you're taking a look at the total, 5 of the last 6 games in this matchup have gone under. You mentioned starting quarterback for Penn State, Drew Aller. Yeah, he was banged up a week ago at Wisconsin. He's got a, quote, lower body injury, but as it seems right now, he will probably be good to go this weekend against the Buckeyes. Don't sleep on the Nittany Lions defense. They are top 5 in the country at the moment. Ohio State, Will Howard, that offensive line, they've been struggling to put it all together as of late, especially a week ago against Nebraska. They escaped danger, so maybe they're able to refocus this week as they hit the road to take on the Nittany Lions. I think there might be a little bit too much up in the air with Drew Hour's health. Nicholas Singleton, star running back, has been battling injuries as well, so the Nittany Lions definitely not 100% on the offensive side of the ball. Not enough trust in James Franklin either. Look, this is the spot where he has struggled mightily in years past. It seems like, Gabe, Penn State always makes it to this point in the season. Everything's great. They're undefeated. They're ranked third, and then they take a huge step backwards. As I mentioned, Ohio State got a scare last week. Do they win and cover this game? I think they win, but more than a field goal at home, I'm going to go with the trend of Penn State covering this game. I think the Nittany Lions can keep it close. Give me 3.5 points with Penn State. All right, let's head to the ACC, and this is one of the hottest teams in the country right now. They're off a bye week. They're at home. I'm talking about the 11th ranked Clemson Tigers. They're welcoming in the Louisville Cardinals. This is a night game in Death Valley, 7:30 p.m. Eastern kick on ESPN. Clemson, a huge favorite, 10.5 points they are laying. This total is 61.
Clemson is rolling, playing really good football on both sides of the ball. Cade Klubnik has found a rhythm and is playing at a very high level for them at the quarterback position, which is why I'm going to take the points with Louisville.
Wow.
Because that makes sense, right? I do think Clemson's going to win the game. I think they're the better team, but I think that Tyler Shuck in this Louisville offense can move the football and they can score a few points to keep this thing just close enough. I've been really impressed with Cade Klubnik's improvement this season. That guy's shown a ton of maturity. He's shown what he's made of. But I just think that Louisville has enough to keep this thing within striking distance in the fourth quarter. So I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take the 10.5 points with Louisville.
Interesting. Yes, it is a big number. And you're right. Louisville does keep it within striking distance, whether they win or lose. The problem, Gabe, is just their level of competition. I don't think they've played a team quite like Clemson. I know they took on Miami a couple of weeks ago, but Clemson's been on an absolute tear, including Cade Klubnik's play, their starting quarterback, since that week 1 loss to Georgia. And get this, the Tigers have not lost a home game off extended rest since 2010. Yeah, they're coming off a bye week heading into this matchup, this conference matchup against Louisville. And since Louisville's joined the ACC, Clemson is 8-0 straight up against Louisville in conference matchups. They're 6-2 against the spread against the Cardinals in conference. It seems like the Tigers are on a collision course with Miami for the ACC Conference Championship game. And Clemson's schedule very favorable down the stretch if they're able to get past this home night matchup against Louisville. Louisville, to me, has not been overly impressive. Yes, I do love Tyler Shuck, their quarterback. He can spin it, but they're just 2-3 straight up in their last 5 games. Maybe I'm putting myself in the square box here, Gabe, when I break down this matchup, but I just think Clemson has been on fire. Will the bye week bring down the momentum? I hope not, because I'm laying the points. I'm going to lay 10.5 with Clemson in this spot. Expect the Tigers to keep things rolling. All right, let's head to Columbia, South Carolina. We'll keep things in the Palmetto State as we wrap things up here with our college football preview on the spin. And I'm talking about the Gamecocks. Yes, they are welcoming in one of the hottest teams again in the country, the 10th ranked Texas A&M Aggies, coming off that huge home win against LSU a week ago. They hit the road to take on South Carolina. 7:30 p.m. Eastern kick on ABC. Texas A&M, a short 2.5-point road favorite. This total's lower, 44.5 points, Gabe.
I think this is a tough spot for Texas A&M coming off the emotional second half comeback against LSU. Meanwhile, South Carolina's rested, coming off the bye, feeling good about things, and it is going to be a wild atmosphere there. Question. Which quarterback will make more plays in the passing game? I think Lenora Sellers and Marcel Reed are both very effective runners. And South Carolina, they're not going to be surprised the way that LSU was when Marcel Reed was inserted in that game, and LSU's defense just had no answers for what A&M was doing with the quarterback run game. I just really like the way that Mike Elko's team is playing. I think that South Carolina is going to struggle to run the ball against that Texas A&M defensive line. I expect that group for A&M to control that football game. I don't love it, but I'm going to lay the points with Texas A&M. I just think that they are a little more of a complete football team than South Carolina, but I expect it to be low scoring and to be a close 4-quarter football game.
Yeah, two very interesting spots with these teams coming in. As you mentioned, South Carolina coming off the bye. They've kind of been up and down all season long. Took Alabama to the wire, was not able to close it out with the big home win against the Crimson Tide. And A&M, look, they're the only remaining undefeated team in conference play in the SEC, coming off that huge home win against LSU a week ago at night in Kyle Field. They dominated the Tigers in the second half, 31-6, Gabe. They really put a statement on it. Mike Elko made a few controversial statements in his post-game press conference after the fact as well. The Gamecocks are just 1-9 straight up against A&M in SEC play, but they've covered the last two matchups. You mentioned Marcel Reed. Elko makes the switch from Connor Wigman to Marcel Reed during the game against LSU. He definitely brought new life to that Aggie offense with his mobility. Can South Carolina's defensive line keep contained on Marcel Reed? You saw how explosive he is with his legs. You cannot look past the game-breaking mentality of guys like Dylan Stewart and Kyle Kennard, the edge rushers for the Gamecocks. They are simply explosive. That matchup between those two and Marcel Reed will certainly provide some fireworks. How about this statistic, though? Underdogs in the SEC, Gabe, are 26-11 against the spread so far this season. That's the best among any conference in the country. I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched. The one biggest question for me is how will South Carolina's offense attack the Aggies' defense? I think they're going to have to bring a balanced approach. They're going to have to get a couple of chunk plays, maybe find a turnover or two to gain a possession. I think the public will be all over Texas A&M after that big win on national TV a week ago. So when they zig, I zag. Sound the alarms, Gabe. We went opposite ways on all three picks. I'm taking the primetime home underdog South Carolina Gamecocks. Give me those 2.5 points. I think it's going to be a very close game. It is November. Can't believe it. The college football season is in the home stretch. Hope everybody had an amazing Halloween. Keep it locked in here at The Spin for all of your college football lines, news, and odds, of course, provided to you by Bet Online. For Gabe Ikard, I'm Drew Butler. Allie, I'll throw it back to you. Pizza another time, okay?
Amazing stuff as always, Drew Butler. All right, listen, we got that recorded, so I'm going to come back to visit that conversation in the future. Shout out once again to you and, of course, Gabe Ikard. Now, Drew will be back with us in just a minute. As I mentioned earlier, I've got to tell you that our odds here on Sports Insiders The Spin are provided by Bet Online, the world's most trusted sports betting platform. So with NBA, NHL, college basketball, and, of course, college and NFL football all happening, what a crazy time, right? There's no place better than Bet Online to get in on all the action. Head on over and check them out today. All right, speaking of action, it is another big weekend, of course, in the NFL, and here to break it down for us, Drew Butler is back with Anthony Becht and Jonathan Casillas. Welcome, guys.
Thanks again, Allie. Drew Butler back once again with my guys, Anthony Becht and Jonathan Casillas, taking a look at Week 9 of the NFL season right here on the Spin Sports Insider. Again, all lines provided by Bet Online. And guys, it's November. That's right. We all know November is the month where you separate the contenders from the pretenders, and you're starting to see some playoff projections as well. Let's start in the NFC this week. The Dallas Cowboys, who are not looking good right now, are heading down to the Dirty South to take on the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons, who sit atop the NFC South at the moment. Kickoff 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox this Sunday. Anthony, right now the Falcons are 3-point home favorites. This total 51.5 points.
Yeah, really two teams kind of trending in different directions. You know, when I look at the Cowboys, I look at their last 3 games. They go to Pittsburgh a few weeks ago and beat them in a hard-nosed, tough physical game, really kind of outside of their style, right? And it really showed the next week because they got spanked by the Lions. So it took its toll. Then they got to go on the road again to the 49ers. And I don't know really, even though it looked close with the score, it just didn't really feel close to me. Here's the problem, what I see. You know, Dak is really the only playmaker they have with CeeDee Lamb. Now, they have no rushing game the last 2 weeks, 56 and 53 yards last 2 weeks that he's had to help him in those games. And they've really been behind and had to throw most of those times. The interceptions are up a little bit because of the fact they've been down, having to come back. Also, they don't have a complimentary receiver right now. I mean, if you're leaning on Ferguson to be your other guy as a tight end, that you're not going to get a lot of explosive plays out of this offense. So, where is it? You're not getting a bunch of turnovers on defense. So the complimentary football right now, guys, is not there. So when I look at the Falcons, again, they went on. They have the secure lead right now in their division. The Buccaneers, who's probably the second best team, they got a rash of injuries. So there is blood there where if they could continue to trend in the right direction, they can build themselves a little bit of separation from the Bucs. And as weak as that division is, they could run away with this thing. And I think Kirk Cousins right now is trending 4 touchdown passes. He looked great. His completion percentage is good. I got to roll with the Falcons here at home, -3. I just don't see how the Cowboys bounce back. They're going to give a great effort, but I think in the end, the Falcons pull away.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, the Falcons, man, they're 4-1 in their last 5 games. They're scoring 25 points in all 5 of those games with over 30 in 3 of those contests. So I expect the points to be scored this game, especially from the Falcons. But look, the Cowboys, as much as I don't like them, and I'm going to say it every single time I jump on this show, guys, they score a lot of points, and they play a lot better on the road. They're 3-1 on the road. They lost a tough contest last week, and I agree with you, Anthony. It really wasn't close, but with some late heroics by Dak and CeeDee Lamb, they ended up bringing last week's game to 49ers within 1 score. And I expect them to do similar to this week. I don't think they're playing that well of football. I think Falcons are trending up. Cowboys are kind of going down, but they are on the road, not at Jerry's World, which they just are terrible at home for some reason. They cannot figure out how to play at home, but this is a road game. For some reason, they gel together on the road. They play a lot better. It didn't look pretty last week, but they did only lose by a touchdown, and I think they can actually keep this game close. So give me those 3 points, and I'm going with the Cowboys on the road.
Yeah, what are the Dallas Cowboys? 0 consistency all season long. Offense looks great one week, horrible the next. They're physical and tough one week. They get blown out the next. There's so many questions around this Dallas Cowboys franchise. And, guys, they shelled out so much money to their skill position players throughout the offseason. It's just bringing a lot of worry, not only among the fan base, but among the people in the locker room and upstairs in the administrative offices within Dallas. And then on the flip side, you look at the Atlanta Falcons through the first 8 weeks of the season, guys, they're 4-0 in the NFC South. Everything is going right now that they have a quarterback in Kirk Cousins who had an unbelievable October statistically. Falcons have won 4 of their last 5. Jonathan, you mentioned that. The Cowboys, yes, they are a mess. They had a bad loss on Sunday Night Football in San Francisco. They're on a 2-game losing streak, and they're still dealing with key injuries on their defense. Micah Parsons, guys, a top 5 player in the NFL, still questionable. Not sure if he'll be able to get back in the swing of things. And the Falcons are relatively healthy. Their skill position players are starting to play pretty well, but the Falcons cannot get any pass rush whatsoever. 0 sacks and 0 quarterback hits a week ago. They need Grady Jarrett and Matthew Judon to step up in a big way and affect Dak Prescott. Because when Dak can sit back there and deliver the ball, the Cowboys do become a lot more dangerous. However, the injuries on Dallas's defense still give me a lot of worry. The San Francisco 49ers ran for 223 yards against the Dallas Cowboys a week ago. The Falcons are going to want to do that at the same time to then open up the pass game. The Falcons need to win this game at home. Like you said, Anthony, to continue to separate against the beaten down Tampa Bay Bucs in that division. This is just a big spot for the Falcons. They fell flat 2 weeks ago against the Seahawks at home. I think they're able to kind of right those wrongs. I'll lay 3 points with Atlanta as well. How about this matchup in the NFC North? 2 of the best teams in the conference at the moment. The Detroit Lions are heading to Green Bay to take on the Packers. 4:25 p.m. kick Eastern time on Fox. The Lions are 3.5-point road favorites. This total sits at 48 points, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm sure you're going to give us some stats on some home dogs, but I gotta look at the Detroit Lions first. There's a lot to talk about with this football team, and they've both played well. Last 4 games, they've averaged 43 points a game. Ben Johnson is arguably the best play caller in the NFL. Everything they do is gold right now. I mean, they run the run calls, the pass calls. It's become easy. Jared Goff in that over this season so far is a 75% completion percentage, and over the last 4 games, it's almost over 85%. The balance, everything they do, the confidence, the leadership of their head coach. Their defense is playing well. Opportune turnovers the last few games have really been an added feature for the Lions, making that the field very short for them in scoring over the last couple games. On the other side, Packers have been good, man. Like, they've done it with Love, without Love, and Love has a groin injury. So regardless whether he plays or not, they really feel good about Malik. He's a guy that, he's come in and done a really good job. He came in last week and did a good job. He's prepared. They have good plays wrapped around him. It's going to be really hard for me to say that I can just not go and take the Lions in the situation the way they're trending. The one thing I will say, if they're averaging 43 points a game, there's no doubt in my mind that the Green Bay Packers can score a touchdown and get it to 50. So they'll be over the 47.5. So definitely sprinkle something in the over, and you got to ride the Lions here. So yeah. I'm gonna lay those points and take the Lions.
Yeah, man, I'm looking at the Packers, man, and I do like Malik Willis stepping in. I think he's a quality backup, but he's still a backup. And Jared Goff is having a great MVP-type season. What he's doing with the Lions, you called it Ben Johnson, getting really creative. Montgomery throwing touchdown passes, and how beautiful of a spiral was that last week that he threw, right? Running back, throwing balls like that, insane. But those guys, Montgomery and Gibbs, that is the definition of thunder and lightning. That Gibbs play down the sideline last week, I mean, man, that's explosive. Then you got to deal with Montgomery. Bro, his legs are so big. I've seen him up close and personal. That is a huge human being, bro. Not that tall, but, man, he's wide. And then you got Gibbs on the other side. Sam Laporta had a day last week on the international – is it national or international tight ends day?
National tight ends day.
National tight ends day, Anthony. I thought you would bring that up already. Even the Falcons, Kyle Pitts had a day. Great day for them, but the Lions just find a way to get it done, find a way. 52 points through 3 quarters last week, 35 points at halftime. And even Khalif Raymond, somebody I play with, the undrafted rookie, he got involved. Great punt return average on the day for him last week. Look, the Lions are an unstoppable force right now. I don't see anybody slowing them down. I'm sorry, Packers. I got to take the Lions.
Yeah, the Lions certainly seem like the class of the NFC right now. And guys, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned the dominance that they showcased last week on special teams. I mean, they absolutely smoked the Tennessee Titans in all 3 phases of the game. And that, of course, is what broke it open and allowed them to put up 50-plus points on the scoreboard. The Jordan Love injury for Green Bay, yes, it is concerning. But news earlier this week said it was just a strained groin, nothing major, probably expected to play for the Packers. Green Bay on a 4-game win streak. Look, the last few games might have been last-minute wins by 3 points or less, but nonetheless, they're putting up W's on the win column, and the Lions are on a 5-game win streak. 3 of those last 4 games, they've scored 40-plus points. However, it's a divisional home underdog. Come on, Matt LaFleur as well, guys. Green Bay's head coach as an underdog, very, very strong. The public will be all over the Detroit Lions. You know that. They just scored 50 points. They're the best team in the NFL. I love the Packers plus 3.5. Give me those 3.5 points with Green Bay at home. That's going to be an awesome game. All right, let's wrap things up. A little Monday Night Football action. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have just been decimated by injuries, are heading to Kansas City to take on the 2-time defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs. Yeah, 8:15 p.m. Eastern kickoff Monday night on ESPN. The Chiefs are a huge 9.5-point favorite.
Yeah, listen, this is a tough spot for the Bucs, right? No Godwin, no Evans. Baker Mayfield is not going to be a guy who's going to be able to carry his team on his shoulders. But, man, there's something about him. Yeah. They found ways to score against the Falcons, keep it close at home. But now you're in a different environment. It's Arrowhead. You're on the road. Those things are going to pop up. And I think, too, when you look at potential turnovers. He had 2 interceptions last week. When you don't have receivers that are dudes, right? There are other guys getting sprinkled in. You don't have that much work. The trust part of that, the balls are going to get thrown in spots sometimes where you may not be as precise with some of those receivers. Now, Cade Otton, their tight end, had a really big game. But again, man, as much as I love tight ends and I appreciate the national tight end shout out, I just don't think tight ends are going to win games on a week-in and week basis unless you're Travis Kelce or someone at an optimal level. Defense is getting shredded in the passing game for some reason right now by the Bucs. So they're not helping the cause, giving up 4 touchdowns last week versus the Falcons. Now, on the flip side, the Chiefs, minus 9.5, like they've only beaten 2 teams so far by more than 10 points. And those were close-scoring games throughout. Mahomes, I mean, hey, if you just block his name out and you look at his stats, 8 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. you're thinking, how the hell are these guys undefeated? But the one thing I do see is this has been his best year from a completion percentage standpoint. He's being a little bit more strategic on what he does. He's obviously trying to make and create plays with his arm, and he's fallen short with a lot of those interceptions. But I look at the defense, man, they're playing as good as any defense in the league. Their run defense right now has been phenomenal. So what does the Buccaneers, what do they do? Are they going to take away the run and force, Baker Mayfield's hand? I think that at any given point in this game, the Chiefs could probably be up 10 points. But I just think the Bucs find a way to just keep it close at the end, just because of the will and the drive of Baker Mayfield. And I can't take that away from a player. Has nothing to do with analytics. It has something to do with a player's heart. And I just think he's a great leader for that team. I am going to take those points and go with the Bucs.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is one of those weeks in a game like this where the Buccaneers are just up against a giant and a juggernaut, and Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones and Spagnuolo, Andy Reid, and, Arrowhead Stadium. Listen, I think somehow, some way, the Buccaneers are going to surprise some people. I'm not saying they're going to win this game, but this is a game where it's almost like, you're kind of overlooking them a little bit. I feel bad for the Buccaneers, especially what happened to Chris Godwin. Those guys were trying to come back, and he basically out for the year with a very serious lower body injury. And look, I don't think the Chiefs are going to overlook them, but this is a position where a team is limping into your home stadium and you're undefeated at home. And I mean, they're undefeated, on the road as well. We're talking about the Chiefs here with Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl champion 2 times in a row, about to be a three-peat. Then all of a sudden the Buccaneers, who, season is kind of going down with those injuries that you said. But somehow, some way, I just think that Baker Mayfield is going to hit them right in the mouth. I think he's going to light those guys up a little bit. I'm not going to say they're going to win the game, but they're definitely going to keep it within those 9.5 points. So give me the Buccaneers on the road.
Yeah, I love what both of you guys are saying. You cannot discount what Baker Mayfield has done just from a leadership level with this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. Of course, they've been decimated by injuries, but they continue to play tough. They gave the Falcons a good scare late in the game a week ago, and of course, the Falcons had to withstand a late charge to get out of Tampa with a W. Get this, Kansas City, 7-0. We know they're undefeated. Their point differential on the season is only plus 50, guys. Yeah, Mahomes has more interceptions than he has touchdowns, but they continue to find a way. They play close games regardless of the opponent. Look, I know they're a divisional opponent, but a week ago, the Raiders almost beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs had to get a little late red zone stand to get out of there with a 27-20 victory. Kansas City did not cover. I would expect this line to maybe tumble down from 9.5 closer to 8, maybe even 7.5, 8.5 before kickoff on Monday night, because Baker Mayfield, simply put, has been playing at a high level. He distributes the ball 8, 9, 10 receivers per game. And of course, he's loving what K-Dot and the tight end has been bringing to that offense as well. I think Tampa can try to control the clock with their run game. Rachaad White, Bucky Irving. The Bucs defense, however, has allowed 28.5 points per game in the last 4 games. Kansas City's offense, no world beaters. We got to get rid of that notion that they're super fast and creative and put up tons of points on the board. They just don't. This is so many points. The Chiefs have not blown out anyone all season. We're on the same side here. Give me the Bucs plus 9.5 on Monday Night Football. It's November, guys. I keep saying it. I can't believe it. Time slow down. The NFL season has been awesome so far. Keep it locked in right here on the Spin Sports Insiders for every single weekend preview this NFL season. All lines provided by Bet Online. For my guys, Anthony Becht and Jonathan Casillas, I'm Drew Butler. Allie, we'll throw it back to you.
Fantastic stuff as always. Thank you so much, literally, to the pros who have been there, done that. Drew, Anthony, and Jonathan, we love ya. My friends, this has been so much fun, but we are done for today. Shout out once again to Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and #1 source for everything football. And of course, they provided all of our odds. And if you want to get in on all the action, check out Bet Online. All right. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Enjoy all the sports action. Thanks so much for watching. And of course, we'll see you here next time at Sports Insiders The Spin.